It's Saturday morning and I am down in Weatherford, Texas at Texas Drivetrain Performance to get my transmission rebuilt. I got Chase with me who's going to be doing the rebuild on my transmission. Chase, you want to tell us a little bit about TDP here in Weatherford?
Yeah, so we've been in business for 14 years. He's been doing this for quite a while. We primarily do the T56 and TR6060 6-speed transmissions out of the Camaros and Mustangs, or Shelby GT500 rather. I've probably done somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 rebuilds on them.
Nice. And then this is your current shop, but you're getting ready to move to Fort Worth, right?
Yes, moving to the Euless Bedford area around July. It'll
Awesome.
be a lot better for business, a lot better for our machine shop. We can actually do in-house machining on shafts, and we can make our own tools and that sort of deals.
Okay, very cool. Check out their Facebook page, Texas Drivetrain Performance, to get that address when it comes out later this year. It's just like a ninja. Shink. Pretty stoked to see the inside of this thing.
One of the first things you can look at that's sort of an indicator, not always a very accurate indicator, but you can look at the magnets and see how much metal's on them. And right here we can actually see probably what your problem is with third gear already. These little pieces right here. Those are keys. They go in the 3/4 shift assembly.
Oh, those are the stamped keys.
Yep, and they break all the time.
I've heard about those.
And that's what we're going to upgrade on your transmission.
So we're going to billet for those, right? So they can't crumple up again?
Yep, they're heat treated chromoly 4140, and they'll never break again.
Heck yeah. Sweet.
So that's probably why you're popping that third. Hopefully it didn't tear up third gear. And as far as metal buildup, there's really not that much. So that's, you know, a good sign. So you see on the snap ring how it has like a taper, it kind of looks like that.
Yeah.
When I put them back together, I put them like that. Because what's happening is when I open the snap ring, it slides up that taper. Grab the snap ring.
I see.
So if you put that one at the top, it doesn't do that.
Another lovely factory decision.
Right. That's your speedometer gear.
Okay.
The sensor, that's it. Except the speed.
So there goes the speed ring. It's interesting to see these gears freewheeling in there.
Right. Yeah, the reverse actually doesn't touch because it's got an idler. It has to have an idler so it can spin.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
Right here in the case. So that's how it actually turns the shaft the opposite way.
I see.
First gear.
The first gear?
The first gear. This is reverse.
Okay.
And those teeth I was telling you about earlier, they're actually in good shape. You can tell they're worn, like it's been used, but
right.
You know, as far as still being to a point, that's what allows the slider to engage smoothly. And they're still to a point, so that is actually a good gear. And this is the reverse assembly.
Okay.
It's got the same teeth around the edge there. And if you look at the back side, you can actually flip this. This side isn't used since there's no gear on the bottom side of, you know, where reverse is.
Yeah.
So they put this plate on here and that blocks it off. You can't actually, well, you're not supposed to really be able to shift it that way, but you can if you really push it.
Huh.
But
that's interesting.
so that plate blocks those keys from moving. But so if reverse assembly wears out, you can take that sleeve off, flip it over, and then you got a new
That's
side
cool.
you can use. This gear right here is the one I was telling you about.
Yeah.
This gear is supposed to press on this shaft here, and it's most likely going to slide off real easily.
Okay.
And kind of a bad design. What we actually have to do is TIG weld the journal, and we have a turntable over there. We'll weld the journal and then put it in a lathe and machine it back down. But it'll be a few thousandths bigger than factory, so that gear will press on a lot tighter.
Okay. Cool.
If it comes off easy.
Sure enough.
Yep.
How about that?
So. And then you'll look at these splines. It's probably going to be kind of hard to see on camera, but the splines will kind of get a step worn in them where they're beginning to wear. And that'll just progressively get worse and worse and worse until they're gone.
Okay, and that's that press fit getting loose, and then the gears got some slop, so
Yep.
the teeth eat each other up a bit.
Yep, and
Okay.
you'll see it on the main shaft, so you might be able to kind of see it. It's a little bit easier to see the wear on the main shaft there.
Yeah, I can. It's not quite consistent on some of those.
Right.
Okay.
And that's the 5th and 6th driven gear. So 5th gear's right here,
Okay.
and then 6th gear's down there on the bottom.
Right. Awesome.
This is our 50-ton press, made in 1957.
Oh man, that's so cool.
Of course, it's not tight enough to need the hydraulic part of it, but it's a camshaft extension. We don't typically ever see anything wrong with this. But of course, it's got the bearing there that goes in the main, to the tail housing. But we'll just make sure there's no scoring around here where it actually interlocks with the other camshaft. This is 5th gear, and again, it's got the same teeth.
Yep.
And they look good. Again, they look about like reverse. A little bit worn, but perfect shape.
Just like the whole rest of my car. That sounds great.
Right. The assembly, however, is worn a little bit.
Okay.
It's a little bit more worn on that side. So I would want to replace that.
Okay.
Okay, so here's one thing. So this transmission's been into before. This spacer right here is actually sitting on the bottom. It's supposed to go on top of the bearing.
Ah.
Not super critical. It didn't really cause any damage. There's no wear. It's not scored up or anything like that. But that's one of those things. It is in the actually wrong spot. It's supposed to go right there, on top of that gear,
Okay.
or on top of that bearing, and it was on the bottom.
Oh, I see.
So it has been into before,
Right. Okay.
and that confirms it.
Good to know.
And 6th gear is beat up. So this is what worn engagement teeth will look like.
Okay.
I don't know how 6th gear gets beat up, but it does. And those teeth will get flat. And eventually that'll cause issues like what you were having. It'll pop out of
Where
gear.
it pops out.
If it gets bad.
Okay. It's so cool getting to see the interior of these things. It's something that you always try to learn about, and it just seems like black magic, but Chase is making it seem easy. This is awesome.
Now we get to see what 1 through 4 looks like. Yeah, there's a rough spot on the hanging on the bush. So this is like a D10 for the spring rides on top of that ball there.
Okay.
And it rides in this plate here, so whenever you shift gear, that's what makes that clicking sound. It kind of helps hold it in gear.
I see.
See, those magnets really don't look too bad at all, so hopefully we won't see hardly any more damage in here.
And those are just to collect any shavings or anything? Okay.
Yeah. See how that pretty much falls right back down on its own? That's where those keys broke out of.
Okay.
It should be harder. You should have to push on it.
Oh yeah, you can see that real quickly.
But yeah, that just kind of, you barely put pressure on it, it slides right down.
Yeah.
So you've already got a steel 3/4 shift fork. That's an upgrade part right there.
Sweet.
So whoever went in here at least upgraded it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the 3/4 assembly. So again, it's got those same teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And they're fairly worn. They're not completely trashed, but they are worn out.
What's up with this area here where it's got those indents?
So what those are actually where those keys will ride. That's kind of to help hold the sleeve in neutral. So when I push it down and it slips out, that's collapsing those keys and those springs.
Okay.
So it move out of the way. But then when you go back, you'll hear it click.
Yeah.
That's those keys snapping back into that groove.
Okay. Cool.
And then that's actually one mistake a lot of people will make when they go through these. When they rebuild them, they'll put those keys. They don't know about that, and they'll just put the slider on the hub whichever way, because it'll go on in your way. It won't line those grooves up.
Okay.
And then it won't shift right.
Oh, I see. There's a synchro.
Yep. And then input has those teeth on it.
Okay.
And those teeth look fine on the input.
Okay.
And one more thing we'll look at, and we'll typically see this on high horsepower cars or cars that have been really heavily abused. The input takes all the load of the transmission. I mean, no matter what gear you're in, the input's still got power going through it. And it'll start tearing those teeth up, and you can see it like a line. We call it undercut gears.
Okay.
You'll see a line which is worn on the bottom of them.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you can see heat marks, they'll turn blue, that sort of deal. But yeah, as far as, you know, clutch kicking and that sort of deal, this is where you would see that kind of wear. Is
cool.
You know, it would be pronounced there if it was wearing at all, which it's not. So keep clutch kicking as much as you can.
Yeah. So all my buddies are now saying I need to clutch kick more and quit driving like a bitch.
This first gear right here. Oh wow. First gear's teeth are like completely flattened out. Of course, first gear is completely usable as far as driving, and that just affects the shifting part of the transmission. So the synchronizers for first and second gear are different. They're actually 4-piece.
Oh wow, that looks easy to. Yeah. They still function on the same basic principle though?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a few more pieces to them, that's all. So now this is where we actually have to go over the press.
Yeah, this is a sweet piece of tool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
This is a 1-2 assembly. This was the first gear side. It's actually a little bit more worn than the second gear side, which is kind of uncommon. The second gear is the one that's up, you know, being hit.
People hard shift into it, yeah.
That second gear actually looks pretty good for a second gear. It's got the new style teeth. Yeah, so the engagement teeth on these on this gear are really not that bad. They're just a little bit worn, but I wouldn't expect it to be causing any problems. All right, last time to press to get third gear on.
Is that poly?
It's like a plastic. It looks like it got hot at one point because it's actually melted. The bearing's not melted, but that is.
Is it supposed to be separate, or is it supposed to be all one piece and it's cracked?
It's supposed to be 2 pieces. This is just like a little spacer, and it is cracked. It's supposed to be one solid ring.
Okay.
But what probably happened, since this is third gear, that's the key right there that broke.
Okay.
And then you have the other 2. You see that one right there?
Yeah, yeah.
Those 2 of them stayed intact. There's 3 total.
I see.
That one broke. What was probably happening is it allowed that sleeve, since that helps hold the sleeve in the center, that sleeve was able to move a little bit.
Okay.
It was probably putting pressure on third gear and riding that ring on the gear, and that was creating heat.
Okay.
And that melted that ring. The engagement teeth on third are about like second. They're just a little bit worn. Not completely trashed though at all. So this is what I want to replace in the transmission.
Okay.
If I was going to do a rebuild, this is the minimal I would suggest. These already come with the rebuild, as well as the steel shift fork, which we can knock a little bit off because you've already got that.
Okay.
We're going to supply that. We're also going to supply the bronze fork pads with the stage 2 rebuild.
Okay.
That'll be for all the forks, including reverse. We're going to replace all those. Your bearings look just fine. The transmission's always had oil in it, so there's no wear or heat or anything like that going on there.
Okay.
So, and of course the upgraded keys for 1, 2, and 3, 4. And I want to replace first gear, 6th gear, and these 3 assemblies, since all the teeth are worn on these parts.
All right.
Now, if you want to, second gear I believe is still usable, but it does have a little bit of wear.
Okay.
If you want to reset that, we can replace the gear. And third gear is about the same. It's got a little bit of wear, but again, still usable. So, and not that these aren't usable, but I do believe that these will are currently giving you a problem, or will give you a problem soon. Oh, and The main shaft, the main shaft. So you can actually feel that. Right here, you can feel the lip.
Oh yeah, that's easy to feel. Wow.
And that's that wear, and then you can see the splines here. See how there's a step in the splines?
Yeah, there's like a line right there. That's interesting.
That's that wear.
Okay.
That gear on that shaft, and
that's a pretty common.
That's very common.
I guess we'll figure that out and then get back to putting it together.
And the billet parts.
Yeah. So here's a stamp.
Yes. So that's a stamped steel one for 1-2, and this is a billet one.
Okay.
For 3 or for 1-2 as well. And then I have one for 3/4 right here.
Yeah, that's way more substantial. Awesome.
So, we're gonna do these bronze fork pads here as well.
Okay.
We're doing them on all the forks. The factory fork pads are plastic like this, and this is actually a replacement one for this. You have one of this shift rail here. Right there.
Okay.
Yeah, hardly ever wear out, but we just replace it anyways while we're in there.
Sure.
That's where that'll go.
Okay.
And then these are the bronze fork pads for 1-2 and 3/4.
All right.
And then these smaller ones are for 5-6 in reverse.
I see. Okay.
And we're actually working on coming up with a billet shift fork. Some transmissions don't even use fork pads. Like my transmission I just did for my car, it actually has a aluminum fork.
Okay.
But the slider, where it goes in, the slider actually fits the fork smoothly and tightly, and it rides on the whole steel, and the steel doesn't wear out when you have that much contact.
Yeah.
But these only just ride on this little part of the fork, so without a shift fork, it has all that slop in it.
I see.
But what the bronze does is it wears a lot slower, especially there's people that'll ride with their hand on the shifter. Which,
I never do that because you shouldn't.
Yeah, that's right. And
people don't know that though.
Yep, and it's because it'll wear these out. When the plastic fork pad's in there, it's got oil, so it's slick and it doesn't wear out quick.
But that extra weight.
But when you hold weight on it, it'll get hot, and then it'll start melting, and then it'll get into the fork, and these forks will wear pretty quick. Even though they're steel, they will wear out.
Okay.
So I've seen one, the guy didn't have 56 gear, the metal was completely gone.
Oh wow.
It would just
hanging out.
It would just slide like past the slider like that.
Whew.
On these assemblies, some people who rebuild these actually make this mistake a lot. When you put these keys or springs in, they have a little tang on them.
Yeah,
hook on the end. It's only on one side. It doesn't matter which tooth you hook it in on the first spring. You just push it in, clip it in like that. And then the other spring, when you flip the assembly, I just flip it like this, and then put it on the same way. You want to hook it onto that same spring.
Okay.
Hook the back of it.
So the tang is supposed to go on the same little hook?
Yes, and by flipping it the way I did, you'll actually they're supposed to go the opposite way of each other. So this one comes around this way on the back side, and then this one goes around this way. So that's the proper way to put those on.
Cool. I love learning stuff like that, although I hope I don't have to use that knowledge anytime soon.
You don't really have the sleeve to flip the sleeve. I mean, you can just turn the whole thing over, but I do it anyways just so the hub goes back on the same way it was.
All right. That's going to get the fresher engagement teeth.
It gets, so that whenever I flip it over, the good engagement teeth will be on reverse now.
Okay.
Put the lockout plate back in here. We call these swing presses around this shop.
I like that.
And once that's flush all the way around the hub, that's good.
Okay.
And then this little spacer just goes right on the center. Now we're ready to do the bronze pads. And the easiest way to do these is just to...
I was wondering if that was a press fit.
Yeah, it is kind of a tight fit, and this might be kind of a springy table to do it. So we'll just kind of tap the fork.
Oh yeah. That is so neat. It's effortless. Does that just brake clean?
Yeah.
That stuff's so nice.
I think it's awesome shit. Don't ever get in your eyes, that stuff.
Since I have glasses and I can't see, I've almost always got a little bit of PPE on.
Yeah. from the point I'm at right now, it'll probably take me about 20 minutes to get to the point where I'm gluing the tail housing back on. But really, that's probably conservative, really, probably less than that.
You have to really clean these sealing surfaces as well. If they have any oil residue on it. That's why I use a light colored rag, and so you can see how clean it's getting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of things it doesn't matter too much, but with this, it does.
Right.
All right, yeah, it cleaned up good.
Good.
Yeah, that's a trick to get them off. Get a little hot. A hot wrench.
Yeah. The hot wrench, I like that.
That'll make his life a little easier when you go through that hole.
All right, so that wraps up our rebuild at Texas Drivetrain Performance. So we got Jason and Chase. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
we can help you
See you out on the road.
All right. See ya.